Hello everyone and welcome to a virtual festival at the edge. This is where I like to be, at the edge of where any people are. Because I'm sure like me you've realised there are now in the world far too many people. Sorry to say. And it's puzzled me for a long time why it is like this. Why did it get like this? And then I found out, so I thought I'd share that with you. It began when God decided to let everybody know, animals and people, how we ought to copulate, how we'd have our young, how we'd reproduce in this world. You can imagine the queue was really long. Every creature was really excited to find out what they'd be doing and how, and the day came. There they were, and God began to bring them in one at a time. It began quite sedately. The elephant came in, hopeful, and God explained to the elephant, it's going to be a little bit clumsy for you, quite hard work to get the position, but it's enjoyable. And then to the female elephant he said, but it's going to be 2 whole years before you get to see your baby. And her little face dropped. But then when you get the baby, it's going to be the most beautiful little creature, the cutest thing anybody's ever seen. So both Mr. and Mrs. Elephant went out quite happy and thought they'd better hurry up and get on with things if they'd 2 years to wait. And then the other creatures came 2 at a time, and then 2 little mice came in, Mr. and Mrs. Mouse. And Mrs. Mouse said, when can we do it? How many can we have and what can we do and where do we go? God said, calm down, it's going to be fine. I'm going to let you have lots and lots of children. You can have them 10 times a year if you want. And you can have lots. And you won't have to wait, it'll only be 3 weeks before they're born. And so you'll have children all the time and lots of them. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Mouse couldn't wait to go. We can have lots of children, let's go and do it now. Let's have lots, let's have lots, let's have lots. And off they went to make a start. And we know there are plenty of those about. Definitely in my house. So the day went on, and then God's momentum started to build, and he started to get really excited about variety. And as we know in the world, there's a lot of variety about how things mate. He got to the poor little garter snake and he said, oh, you, I know what we'll do with you. You can have 100 males after you. Well, the male garter snake looked devastated, but the female was quite excited and wriggled away, with other garter snakes joining them on the way out. And then he said to the honeybee, I'm going to make it really exciting for you. You're gonna copulate mid-flight. Think of that. Think of the buzz of copulating mid-flight. And then your whole insides are going to explode. Your whole reproductive organs will explode and remain in her. And the 2 bees looked at one another, puzzled, and left. And then the little praying mantis appeared. And God was getting even more excited. And you, little praying mantis, what we're going to do with you is you, little girl, you're going to bite the heads off all your lovers, and you'll make up over half of your food is going to be your lovers' heads. Think how exciting that's going to be. And at that moment, the male praying mantis headed outside quickly before the female. And then it came the turn of the horses. And the horses were very excited. The stallion was sniffing and snorting, the female wondering what his news was going to be. And the female, she was like holding her little hooves together excitedly. And God said, now I've got lovely news for you, because it's a good time on the earth in spring. So in spring, you stallion, you're gonna feel the heat and you're gonna mate with her. And then you'll be eating spring grass and everything will taste really good. And then you can just wait the year out. And then when the next year comes around and the spring grass is back, then you'll be able to have your baby and you'll have a wonderful time, and you, stallion, will be off mating others. And the horses couldn't contain their excitement, especially the stallion. He was bucking and rearing, and the female, she was excited too, but she thought she'd better head out and not be doing anything around God, so she headed outside. And the stallion, he bucked and reared and kicked one last time and kicked God right in the head. By then, God's excitement at variety in the world was beginning to wear off. And he was just going to take a little break. But outside, Mr. and Mrs. Human were waiting to come in. And they pushed the door open before they were even invited. And in they came. Mr. Human, excuse me, but we've been waiting quite a while now, God, so are you going to tell us? And Mrs. Human was peering over his shoulder a little nervously. And God just looked up in a vile mood with his aching head and said, you two, you can just get out. I've had enough. Go and copulate where you want, when you want, Have as many as you want. I'm done. And that's why it is the way it is today. Not our fault at all. Thank you.